Amazing. Hi, Noah.
How are you today?
I'm great. It's wonderful to see you again.
Yes, you too. Now, let me ask you, where are you located? Because last time we
Um,
met, we were both in Vegas.
we were in Vegas. Yeah, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? But yeah,
Yes.
no, I'm in New Jersey. How about you?
Okay. I am in Alabama.
Alabama. Love it.
Yes.
Good. Well, just for the folks listening, Noah Galloway here is with us today on our webinar series. And um, basically, Noah and I got to meet on this incredible shoot in Las Vegas just a couple of months ago. And you guys will
Mhm.
be seeing the results of that coming out in mid-January. We've created a beautiful sort of 90-second inspirational, motivational video with Mark Wahlberg. And it was just one of those magical experiences
Oh,
where,
a great experience. Yes. I'm sorry for jumping in as you're talking. It was. And I'll tell you what, not only was it incredible meeting you, meeting everyone else, but how great was Mark?
oh my God.
Just a good guy.
Yeah. Well, and I've gotten the experience of being on the board of F45 for over 2 years now with Mark and sitting with him and finding out what a quality person and how
Mhm.
much he cares. Excuse me, one of
Yeah.
my photos just fell over. How much he cares. But the magic of that was connecting with you, connecting with some of the other trainers. I got
Mhm.
to sort of create, produce, and star in that video, which was just like out of left field for me. That was not was not my intention, but it just turned out that I really am the customer there, right? And so you were there, and I just felt an immediate kinship with you and your life story. I'm excited to introduce everybody. This is Noah Galloway. He is a former Army soldier.
Yep.
You are a motivational speaker. You are an extreme sports enthusiast. Um,
Yes.
and you were injured during the Iraq War. You lost your left arm above the elbow and your left leg above the knee. So,
Mhm.
challenge in life for sure. And you've
Yes.
taken those challenges and you have absolutely found a way to dig in and be a positive motivational force. And I just don't, I think that it's so rare, for someone to be able to come out of the challenges that you've come out of. And I think sharing your story a little bit with my folks, you have now done everything from Dancing with the Stars to all these incredible, so you've written your own book, which I want to talk about. But I just want my folks to know you because you are
No,
a
I
light,
appreciate it.
light in this world. And we like to bring light to our people because the world can be a dark place. So,
Yes, no, thank you, Liz, for having me on. It was such a pleasure to initially meet you. I've been excited about coming on your show. Um, it for me, it benefits me to share my story. You said you're excited, but ever since I've gotten injured on my second deployment to Iraq, the more I share my story, the more it motivates myself to keep going. And then I have people that have reached out and just keep motivating me to do more and more. And it's been an incredible ride. I am very grateful for the life I have. I always tell people, we'll go more into detail about my story, but I always tell people that I wouldn't change anything that's happened to me.
yeah,
Even with the depression, the struggles, all that was necessary to put me on the path that I'm on right now.
yeah.
Which, it's been 18 years since I've been injured and I've dealt with some mental health back then. But what's interesting enough is now I'm in my 40s and I'm really diving into mental health. And I feel like that what I was doing in the past wasn't even scratching the surface. And now I'm really diving in.
Well, tell me more. I mean, and just maybe we can just start there, just like, because I'm guessing that you have had to tell your story in like a minute to 2 minutes several times. Can
Oh,
you
I've done, yeah.
share your highlights reel for a second, just
Yes.
folks? And then I want to dig into that mental health
Okay.
piece and what you're doing
Yeah.
now, because I think it's a big part of what our folks struggle with.
Yeah. There's how I got into the military. I was going to college at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB, and 9/11 happened. And I watched all that go down on television and never went back to class. I have an uncle that's a Vietnam veteran that always told me to go airborne infantry. So I'd be right up front. That's what I did. Ended up at Fort Campbell with the 101st under General Petraeus, was in the invasion of Iraq in '03, went back in 2005, hung out in an area called the Triangle of Death, which that was a story in itself. December 19th, 2005. hit a roadside bomb, woke up 6 days later on Christmas Day that I lost my left arm above the elbow, left leg above the knee, injuries to my right leg, my right hand, my jaw was shattered, so my mouth was wired shut. And it was a lot to take in. I'm a stop there, but you could just imagine. I woke up Christmas Day, two of my limbs are gone, but I think the hardest part about it was everything I'd done leading up to that point in my life was physical. Like, yeah, I was in college, but
Mhm.
not very long. I'd always done manual labor. I worked in a plant, I did construction. And then in the military, I was infantry. So I wake up one day and two of my limbs were gone. And the career that I had found, which I point out, I went in because of the war, but after I got in, I fell in love with the military and decided it was a career. So
Mhm.
when I got injured and woke up and all that was over, that was where most of my struggles and my mental health came from. It wasn't the injury, it was accepting that life was going to be different.
Yeah. Well, and having no roadmap in front of you, right? Having no idea
Oh, yes.
of what next steps to take outside of even just recovering. Like, where
Oh,
do
not just that.
yeah.
Yeah, something as simple as getting back into fitness. Fitness was something I've been passionate about. I got into when I was about 11 or 12, and it was an escape for me to go and be in a gym, and so I just lived by that. So then to not have that and think I'll never be physical again and not know what to do. Back in 2005, there were no books, magazines, or anything out there that could tell you how to work out missing arm and a leg,
No.
which at the same time, looking back, was a benefit for me
Mm.
because the way my mind works is I want to create things. I want to be challenged. I don't want to be told it's easy. I want the challenge. And so I accepted it.
Were you always that way? Because I'm asking this for a really important reason. Because in weight loss, people have been conditioned that they don't know anything and they should
Oh,
be
yeah.
following somebody else's rules, and that they have been conditioned to not want to create. And Target 100 is the opposite. We give them the tools, and then we beg them and we help them and we support them
Help
to
them.
create their own plan because it's the only one that works.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I use my injury as a great example. Look, I've been into fitness, like I said, since I was about 11 or 12. Genetically, I've got some gifts so I have three sisters, and they are more like my dad's side of the family that battle with obesity, things like that. I'm like my mom's side of the family. And one thing that I never related to before I got injured was understanding how challenging it is to enter any type of gym or fitness facility. Then when I got injured, I realized how intimidating that can be. You see all these people, they're in great shape, they live there, whatever it is. I don't belong there anymore. And I had to force my way in. And I did it, in the middle of the night, trying to ease into it. But then it gave me something to relate to. Suddenly I see the struggles that someone may have that has never exercised and they're trying to go in. And one thing that I had forgotten and then was reminded when I was injured was most people in fitness, they want us all there. It's just like, I'm going to say it, fitness is like a cult. Everyone in their cult wants you in, they want
Yes,
to bring you in.
it
So, those of us that are in health and fitness, like I've done some crazy races. I did a race one
is.
time that was 58 hours long. I don't expect people to do that. That's me dealing with my own trauma, or whatever it is I'm dealing with.
You're healing
Um,
yourself.
yes, yes. But when it comes to being healthy, we all deserve that. We don't all need to expect to be on the cover of a fitness magazine, but we all should expect to wake up and feel good about ourselves. And when we're healthier, we are happier. And we all know that. We all know it. And the biggest struggle is making that happen. And like you said, y'all's program is about guiding people and giving them the tools. I tell people all the time, look, I have a certain way that I exercise, a certain way that I eat, but I am not telling people that this is the way to do it because this is what works for me. And I'm always changing and adapting, and
Thank
I
you.
always tell people that, look, you don't have to be a nutritionist or a personal trainer to have a good idea of what you should and shouldn't eat. We
That's
all kind of know.
that's
We
like my
all,
tagline, right? Everyone knows to eat
yes,
the apple instead of the candy bar, right?
yes,
But
but it's
it's not like
hard to
we don't
do.
have the information. It's the gap between the action and the
Yeah.
intention, right?
And,
And that is wide.
and It is. You know what I think, me personally, what I've been wrestling with and trying to figure out, because just like you, I love health and fitness, and I want to encourage as many people to take on that lifestyle because we know they'll be healthier and happier.
Mhm.
And one of the things I look at is habits. You know, we all have these habits, good habits, bad habits, and it takes time to create a new habit.
Yeah.
You know, to create that routine that start something. And I always tell people, hey, that's what's great about F45 is
Yeah.
you don't have to create anything.
Mm.
The experts are in Austin at headquarters, constantly changing the workouts, thinking of what needs to happen next. The coaches are trained on it and they're putting it out there so we can go into this class and take 45 minutes to exercise and leave. And I promise people that if they start, give it 10 days of going 3 days a week or whatever it is, and a habit will start to form.
Yeah.
And then it'll become natural. It's always hard in the beginning. Everything is.
Is and we're about to jump in on that, and January is upon us, and like people go hardcore, they go back, like I'm gonna
Oh,
go, and I always say, like, because our entire program is built on habit formation and behavior modification, and so we're teaching constantly of like, if I could give anyone this little bitty nugget of like, just go back, pick a day that's realistic, right? Pick a day and show up. Say, let's just say it's Mondays, and just go Monday, and then go the next Monday, and the next
yeah.
Monday. That's all you have to do. And then when Monday is so solid that you can't imagine not waking up on a Monday and going there, then you put on another day. Then you do Monday,
Yes.
Wednesday. Then you do
You
Monday, Wednesday,
know,
Friday. You
there's
build
that.
slowly.
Yes, that and another thing you said is for the new year, too many people go extreme.
Yeah.
They think they're gonna start this crazy diet. They're going to go inside the gym, they're gonna wear a weight vest while they're working out. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not how you do it. I don't care who you are.
No.
If you have not, if it's been 20 years since you've exercised, guess what? It ain't gonna fix overnight. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
year 21 is better than year 25. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
getting started and ease into it.
Ease
Ease
into it.
into it.
Take it easy.
When after I was injured, I went through that was probably the worst shape I'd ever been in. I went through depression, was struggling, wasn't exercising, wasn't taking care of myself, was eating horribly. I mean, all one bad thing after another, everything you can imagine. So it didn't fix overnight. I always tell people I set out on a goal and failed multiple times. You know, it's like I'm gonna start working out. That lasted for a week, and then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, a month later, I'm gonna work out. You know, and it takes time.
Yeah.
But then when that traction finally grabs,
Mhm.
it starts to creep, and
Yeah.
then one day you start to see a change, and that's what. When you hear about your friends that are able to get up early in the morning or go on their lunch break or go right after work or squeeze in that few bit of time to get their workout in, it's because they're seeing the results.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to be, they need to be patient about.
Yeah.
They need to realize that it takes time. And look, working out, burning those calories, toning that body is important. But I think I feel stupid saying it out loud, but those who aren't in that world don't realize it, that things like abs are made in the kitchen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that is now having abs is not something everybody's going to have.
Yeah.
But the saying abs are made in the kitchen should tell everyone that you can manipulate the exterior of your body by what you're putting into your body.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you know, I'm someone that I love drinking water. And
Yeah.
you know, we all know there's I just can't drink water, you know, this and that.
Yeah.
But my kids have learned, so many other people, that if you change and eventually build that habit and that routine, you'll start to appreciate those healthier things.
Yeah.
I can walk by desserts and it not phase me because I'm not interested in them.
Yeah.
Fruit, oh, I'll tear some fruit up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever it is, I'm
Yeah.
going to go after. You
Yeah.
know, and I say that, not saying that you have to give everything up. Last night I ate 4 cookies. I haven't had a cookie in a long time, and I regretted it this morning. But I had 4 cookies that were incredible, and it's
Yeah.
because I was like, you know what? It's been a while since I've had anything,
It
and I'm
sounds like
going to
it's
do
worth
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I enjoyed it, but it's not something that I'm going to miss tonight.
Right.
It's something that I appreciate more when it's something I have every so often.
Well, there's so much in even this conversation that we're having right now. I mean, thinking about you and going through that injury and losing your career and your limbs all in one moment, you were disconnected from your entire identity, right?
Yes,
Everything you knew, everything that you would have said, this is who Noah is, was
was
taken
gone.
in a moment, right? And, you know, what you did, even thinking through listening to you about getting up and saying, I'm going to go to the gym and then it lasting a week. I wrote this down here. I was like, you know, we want to call those like false starts, right? We want to get all in our head about the fact that, hey, I only went for a week. And yet I go, you went for a week.
Yeah,
And yeah,
no,
and then
that's
there was a break, but that week set you up for that next time when you went for 2 weeks. And then you had another break, whatevs. Like, I always say that about people's weight loss, or if they regain some weight, like, they wanna I'm like, that was just you warming the car up, girl." Like,
yeah. No, I love that. I love that.
this
That
is
makes
just
me
a
think.
part of the process.
Yes, you know what? And Liz, that makes me think of when I meet people that say, I don't have enough time in the day, or I have this issue with my body, or this complication. And I always tell those people, well, that's more of a reason that you'd be even more proud of being in great shape, because
Yeah,
you were able to do it with the odds stacked against you.
yeah,
And you know what? As someone who lost two limbs, nothing feels better than feeling like you've overcome something that you thought you never could.
yeah,
It changes everything. So I try to encourage people all the time. Look, you don't have to lose an arm or leg, but there are conditions that people are suffer from that make it challenging. It makes it hard to get going, to get moving. But that's more of a reason for them to be very particular about their diet, because most conditions can not cured, but can be toned down, controlled
yeah,
by making sure you eat a certain way. And then, hey, going and exercising, just like, what I try to tell people, not to just preach about F45, but high intensity interval training is something that isn't new.
no,
All of us in the fitness world know that every so many years something new comes out.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
from step aerobics back in the the 90s to where we are now.
yeah,
But high intensity interval training has always been around, and what I love about it is you can take a professional athlete and your grandmother and put them next to each other, and they're both getting their heart rate up. They're both getting an exercise in. One may not be using any weights, one's using the big dumbbells, but they're getting the same exercise
yeah,
because they're pushing themselves.
yeah,
And that's why I would love to see more and more people. I'm hoping that
yeah,
with my role in F45, I'm not trying to just encourage people with disabilities to realize that anybody can do this. I want that. I want the I'm sorry, I want to get more people who deserve health and happiness to come into F45 and see that it is capable and they're able to do it.
yeah, and I love it too. I mean, I feel like I'm in a different spot. I'm like, I really want women in my age category to
Mhm.
believe that they can walk through the door of F45, because I think they're worried about it. They're scared. And what
Yeah.
you said is like exactly right. There are personal trainers there that are supporting you. And for me, I'm a menopausal woman, and I am staying fit, and I am maintaining a 65-pound weight loss after 15 years, because I'm rotating. And it's another thing that I wrote down here that you said is that every one of us has to stay aware that we are in an evolution all the time.
Mm.
So I can't be doing the workouts that I was doing a couple of years ago, because I am losing lean muscle tissue. I am aging. My bone density is going down. So I've got to evolve,
Yep.
or die, right? Like, and so I'm working with a lot of women in my age range right now, and they're going like, oh, everything's changed on me. And I was like, yes, and you must change as well.
Well, yes.
So
I love that.
F45 for me is this wonderful 45-minute fix of real, challenging my musculoskeletal system, and
Yeah.
feeling amazing and staying strong and lean into my later years. So,
You know,
you know,
and I'll tell you, I am 42, and missing an arm and a leg. When I got back into fitness, I quickly learned, okay, I cannot abuse my body. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I'm down to one side that's my primary side, so I need to be cautious. Um, And with that, I have learned what's interesting is several years ago, I met a professor at a university that said that studies have shown that combat veterans, even that haven't been physically injured, age 10 years faster than their civilian counterparts. We tend to get Alzheimer's, things like that at a faster rate.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
things like, and that's not even considering the fact that I'm missing an arm and a leg and now doing everything one sided.
Yeah.
But that alone tells me, okay, I'm 42, but my body may be 52,
Mhm,
and soon I'm going to be 62 and hopefully 72.
mhm.
Where do I want to be? I look at family members that I have, those that struggle
Mhm.
to just get up and down out of a chair or to move across a room, and others that are their same age that are living their best lives
Literally.
because they take care of themselves. And I want to be that person living my best life. And I not to ramble, but another thing that just popped in my head is, you know, one, I encourage people to try to get in there if they feel like there's odds stacked against them. That's more reason to be in
Even
there. But
better,
another
right?
one, when it comes to unhealthy eating and not taking care of ourselves, you know, people love that. You ever hear someone say, well, you got to die of something? You know, they love that argument. I love to turn that around and say, you
Yeah,
know what, you're right. But what if that doesn't immediately kill you? What if it just makes you so ill that your family has to stop what they're doing to take care of you? Now, I don't care who you are, most people do not want to be a burden. You can be the most unhappy, miserable person in the world, but you don't want to be a burden.
no,
And so when you tell people that, it does make them think. Because look, I'm not just trying to be healthy so that I'm the best looking 72-year old. I want to be, I don't want to be a burden to my children
yeah,
or my wife or anyone else. I want to be, things are going to happen. I'm already missing two of my limbs. I want to be as healthy as I can. And I'm hoping to encourage as many people as possible to do that. And that's actually how I got involved with F45
yeah.
is I am passionate about fitness. Fitness is huge for me.
Mhm.
It's been a lifesaver for me. I've always told people that I was this close to going door to door and asking people if they've accepted fitness into their life today. You know, like this is my world. And
Yeah,
being part of F45 and this is F45 isn't just about the workouts and the hit routines. It's a community.
yeah,
And that's what I want to help even grow even more. Just be
yeah,
another person that's part of that community because we're going to bring more people in.
yeah,
And just like you do, Liz, we want to make a difference in people's lives and we know what it does for us and we want to spread that to other
yeah.
people.
It's so funny because we're doing a lot of marketing right now around Target 100, and you're talking about community and like, I mean, we have the most incredible community here, and so does F45, right? Because I'm a part of
Yeah.
them both, and now we're doing some partnerships between the two, and it's so exciting and fun. And people always say they're like, don't talk about community in your marketing. Like nobody wants to hear about your community, and they don't think they need a community, is what they're
Oh,
all saying. And I'm like, okay,
well,
you guys are the marketing geniuses, but I think the unsung hero of anyone's success is the community.
well, it's always been. Look at anything that has been
Anything,
successful.
yeah, yeah,
It is built around a community,
yeah,
about having those around us that support us, that understand us. You know, you'll meet people that have been there, done that, or going through the same thing that you can relate to, or just someone that is inspiring that you're like, I want to be like that person. You know
right.
what I mean?
They pull you
And
through those hard times.
yes, and
Yeah,
that's one thing that I've loved about doing these F45 classes is it's all everyone is getting everybody upbeat and excited and pushing each other
yeah.
and motivating each other. And that is necessary. Community is critical. And
It's
so, yeah, I can't imagine anyone thinking that that wouldn't be important. Yeah, it may be hard to sell in a
yeah, I guess
Instagram post.
people yeah, I guess people don't
Yeah.
realize, like, but if you really think back to any time you were successful, there was a team. There was a
Yes.
team around you, right? I think about, like, some of my most successful days when we took Weight Watchers to its highest valuation in history, and our team, our community, our everything was so important, right? Like, we wanna always look back and realize that it was about the people, and it was about
Yeah.
being motivated and inspired. How I want to know, from your perspective, you pulled yourself out somehow. You know, like you found a path forward from the hardest space. As people look, you know, at you and say, okay, how did you do that? Like, what was that moment for you where you said, okay, buddy, like now we're gonna, like, was there a moment, or was there a
Yeah.
person, or was there a community that was helping you at that time?
Well, so um, I always tell people there wasn't one exact moment,
Mhm.
that life's not a movie, nothing fixes immediately.
Yeah.
But the one constant that I've had in my life, I love to tell people this story. One day, this is at a point in my life, I'm injured, I'm struggling, I'm not taking care of myself, I'm self-medicating with alcohol, things like that.
Of
I
course.
walk into the living room one day, and my three kids were very young, sitting on the couch watching cartoons. And I realized, to my two boys, I'm showing them what a man is, and that's what they're going to become one day. And to
Mhm.
my little girl, I'm showing her how a man's supposed to act. And that's
Mhm.
what she's going to look for one day. And the man I was wasn't anybody I wanted my boys to be or my daughter to find. So I knew I had to make a change.
Wow.
Now, I wanted to make the change. I started out, but I still screwed up, still
Sure.
made mistakes.
Yeah.
But every time I screwed up and fell flat on my face, it was the thought of my children that were my motivation to get up. And
Mm.
so then I slowly changed the way I was eating, then got back in the gym. And then I just started pushing myself, and things just evolved from there. And I don't think my kids will ever truly know what they've done for me.
Yeah.
I could tell them, but they'll never truly know. It was wanting to be a better father, a
Yeah.
better person that was motivating me to improve. And I, to this day, now I have four children. I just added another to the
I know,
mix.
you have a little baby.
Yes. And I love my children. I have custody of my oldest children, and I'm remarried and have a baby now. And being a father is one of my, oh, it's the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And it keeps me grounded, and it keeps me motivated. I always tell people, some people don't have kids, but
Yeah.
find that thing
Yeah.
that is stronger than your fears. It's our fears that cause us to quit. Whether you may not think that it's our fears that keep us from exercising, but it is. It's our
Oh,
fear
it
of
is.
failure,
Yeah.
our fear of not, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. But
Yeah.
if you have a desire, something that's bigger than that, that says, I don't care if you don't want to,
Yeah.
go do it. Because I'll tell you what, there's been many a times I have walked into an F-45 and just not feeling it, but I just go through the motions,
That's it.
go through the motions. Some days are better workouts than others,
Yeah,
but
of course. Just like
those
everything.
days, yeah, those days I go through the motions, I am so grateful I do those days, because it keeps my day going, whether it's at the end of the day or the first beginning of the day. It just reminds me, hey, sometimes things suck.
Yeah. And you can still get through, you can do hard things, you know?
Yes.
Well, that's amazing. I love that story so much about finding, we just did a whole meeting about fear and how it holds us back, and how, I always say that weight loss and wellness is truly a brain game, because as we
Mhm.
know, like especially with the advent of the internet, and like there's nothing you can't find out. You want
Oh
to know
yeah,
what your plan is? Chat GPT will tell you what to eat for the next
but
300
doesn't mean
days.
you're
Doesn't mean
doesn't
you
mean
can.
you'll do it.
No, because and fear, when we really ask ourselves what we're afraid of, I think it's very powerful to ask yourself, what is it that I'm worried about, right? If it is walking through the door of an F-45, are you afraid of what other people think? Are you afraid that you won't be able to do it? Are you afraid? That's fine. It's okay to have fear. But what I was trying to really teach people about fear is not happening now. It's a projection. You're
And
literally
it's
making
self,
up a
yeah,
story about what's gonna happen in the future that hasn't happened yet. So it
yeah.
keeps you frozen. And learning how to navigate fear, I think, is one of the greatest tools you can pick up. Is fear is okay. And we all have fears.
Mhm. If
We
we
have,
didn't, there'd be a problem.
yeah, but if they're not happening now, then they're just paralyzing you.
Yes. And that's like, there's a book I'm reading right now. I think it's Our Polyvagal World. It's all about how the body reacts, how we go to fight or flight, and how
Yeah,
it affects your entire body.
yeah.
And that's something that I'm going through. Oh man, the mental health I'm going through right now has been so exciting, so eye-opening,
Mhm.
that I realized that when I first got injured and went through mental health, like I said, I wasn't even scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Now I'm like
What are you
going in.
doing now? What are you into now?
So I have experimented everything from psilocybin
Yeah.
to, then I got into microcurrent neurofeedback. I'm
Uh-huh.
doing that now, and EMDR.
Okay. Wait, let me slow down for 1 second just so
All
people,
right.
I know what you're talking about, but they
I know that I'm all
probably
over the place. Yep.
don't. So, psilocybin are,
Psilocybin
there it's
for
microdosing
mushrooms.
of
Yep.
mushrooms, right?
So what
How
I've
did
done
that
with it.
feel and what did that do for you?
So, I'm not against it. I was super for it in the beginning. I'm kind of not sure where I am with it yet. Now, I say that I'm glad I did it. I've done dosing, and I've done what's called a hero's journey, where you
Okay.
do a large amount. You lay down, cover your eyes, put music on for 4 hours. You're there,
Yeah.
and it can really show things. Now, your ego goes away, so it really brings up a lot. Now, what it did for me 2 years ago, I experimented with dosing. I had used tobacco for a long time, dipped tobacco, bad habit from the military. I quit it,
Wow.
and then
That's hard
a
to do.
year ago, yeah, a year ago, I was experimenting with psilocybin again, and I decided to quit alcohol.
Mm.
And they say that is very common in
Hmm.
psilocybin.
Wow.
So now they also say that I've heard that it can wear off. Now I quit in January. Uh, I feel like it's kind of gone away. I could go back to drinking, but I'm enjoying it so much
Mhm.
that I'm like, why go back to it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's nothing but a poison. I have friends that I even play in a dart league where
Mhm.
we play other bars. I
Yeah.
mean, I still hang
Yeah,
out
you're
with
fine.
people.
Yeah, you can have a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, I just drink club soda with lime
There
instead
you go.
now, and I love it. But, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where
So
was I
we
going
were
with that?
talking about, so you tried the
Yes,
psilocybin
the
and you were,
psilocybin.
yep.
All right, so then I experimented with that, and then evolved into microcurrent neurofeedback. Now, microcurrent neurofeedback, now again, I'm gonna go into this of what I've experienced. I'm not a professional, I may not even tell it right. But what I've learned about it, a lot of sports athletes have been using this for years. Entire teams have used this. It's where they put electrodes on different spots of your brain, because our brain frequencies can get out of whack. The way I've experienced it is like, if you have a tire in your car that's out of balance, it
Yes,
can affect the entire car
of
until you
course.
get it, and then everything goes smooth.
Mhm.
I've experienced that with microcurrent neurofeedback. It has been great. It has
Right.
been amazing. Now,
Wow.
there's that, and then there's EMDR. And I wish I knew what that stood for. I movement.
Yes. Oh God. I will look it up while you tell us.
Yes. So it's where you do the eye movement, and it brings things up. And it was very interesting because first time I did it, it showed me a part of my past as a child that I'm not going to say unaware of. I didn't see it clear. The way I told my wife, it's like my childhood was in a worn out VHS tape. And then during EMDR, I was streaming it in 4K.
Yeah.
Now, that when I've told people that, they're like, I don't know if I want to experience that. It can be terrifying. It
Yeah.
showed me things that I'm like, oh my God, that's what was happening. That explains why I do this.
Totally. Totally.
But what I tell people is the fact that I see it now, I can't change it, but I can understand why I do XYZ and can fix it.
Totally.
And so that's what I'm loving about it. And in
Love it.
fact, yesterday I did brain spotting,
Mm.
where they take something and they just slowly, you watch the tip of this stick or rod, and eventually your eye gets to a point where if you're focusing on a memory, it brings up emotion.
Mhm.
And that I experienced that and enjoyed it. And it's been really good. I feel like as a human, we experience trauma.
Yeah.
There's going to be, I may experience trauma when I leave this call. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whatever
we
it
have
is.
no idea, right?
Yeah. All
Yeah.
the time we're experiencing it. And as I go through life, and the more I'm improving my mental health, look, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I got into fitness when I was 11, 12 years old. how I was working out when I was a teenager was one thing. How I was working out in my 20s and 30s was another way. Now I'm in my 40s. I'm working on my mental health, and that is affecting my health and fitness in a positive way.
Yeah.
This is helping me be much healthier here
Sure.
because everything is flowing. And you'd mentioned that y'all are talking big into uh
Positivity. Yeah.
positivity. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was telling a group the other day, I was on stage and I shared with them that, as if I'm doing a personal workout, if I'm on a run, it's not uncommon to put on some heavy metal, some hardcore rap. But months ago, I decided, hey, how does my brain react to that? You know
Huh.
what I mean? It puts me in this state of fight or flight. I
Yeah.
don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
I'm looking to relax myself,
Yeah.
even in fitness. You know what I mean? I'm like, let's put on some positive because there's all these studies out there that show that our body reacts to words. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it's not that these words are magical, it's that our brain takes these words as a certain way. That's why, like, when you hear about, like, when I hear someone say, "Oh, there's a warning before this movie," well, it may not be something that you need a warning for, but it means there's something that's going to trigger somebody. And
Somebody.
I and I yeah, and I try to keep that in mind that all of us have different triggers.
Yeah.
Some of us know what they are, some of us don't. One thing I'm learning is, like, the other day, me and my wife got into an argument. I was able to step back and realize what triggered me to
Yeah.
do what I was doing and act the way I was. And I'm getting off topic of health and fitness, but
No,
that all
I don't think
fits. It
yeah.
all fits.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is a growth mindset.
Mm,
Have a growth mindset. Like you're just refusing to not evolve. You're saying, I want
yeah.
to just keep learning. I want to keep growing. I mean, and obviously for someone to have gone through everything that you had to come out of, that's something that you have cultivated is a
Hmm.
growth mindset, a positive mindset. I'm looking at your shirt. It says no excuses, right? And
Yep.
learning that, I think again, what we're talking about here, and before I forget, it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing,
Oh,
EMD.
okay. I
Yeah,
won't remember that.
yeah, exactly. It's a mouthful, but if you look up EMDR, the letters EMD and R, this is a very well known
And
therapeutic
if to
process.
interrupt real quick, if anybody watching this is interested, there's a really good book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Hmm.
And it will, if you look that up, there are various chapters that cover different types of everything from EMDR, microcurrent
Yeah,
neurofeedback. There's a chapter just on yoga, which,
yeah,
interestingly enough, I've got to share this. My wife is a yoga instructor. I moved her from Venice Beach, California, a whole yoga community out there, to Alabama, and she's in this world, and she's always expressed the difference it makes, but it never really registered with me until I read that book. And sometimes you used to have to hear things from a different
you
perspective.
do, you do.
And it pointed out that, because in the world of yoga, I always just thought about different movements and holds. No, these holds can be challenging, not because it's like lifting real heavy weight. It's holding something that can be challenging. And when you're holding something challenging, it can bring thoughts up, and things can come up. And because there are certain, like a child's pose, they say that's challenging for a woman or anyone who's been raped, you know what I mean? Assaulted. So
Yeah,
then that pose is hard and can be very empowering if they're able to overcome it.
yeah,
So things like that are talked about in this book on just how our bodies react to things. And it's just been so eye-opening that I'm
yeah.
adding it to my repertoire of this cult that I'm forming of health, fitness, and
Yeah.
and mental health.
No, I think it's really interesting that you're talking so much around what we talk about, which is that this is a mind game. This is that things do get trapped in your body. That if this was as simple as me giving you a food plan, like, wouldn't that be nice? But
Yeah.
what I continuously am it's so lovely to talk to you is like, what you've obviously created is your why, right? Your
Mhm.
children are your why, and your wife and your life and the cult that you want to create. You have a purpose-driven life,
Yeah.
right? You have found what drives you, and you continue to drive towards it without excuses, right? You say, "Well, what else can I learn?" And not stay stagnant, and
Yeah.
how else can I grow, and how else can I expand, and how can I conquer fear? So I think that's amazing. I say when someone puts on a shirt like that, like they must have a really strong connection to that. Like, How do you overcome excuses? Because it's a real problem for folks in weight loss of, well, I'm going to this party and, I can't really eat well there and I will, I guess I
I,
I'm off,
you know, what's helped me, I don't, first thing that pops in my head when you said that was my honest gut reaction was I treat it like it's my job.
Mm,
Like being healthy, being the, best husband, father I can be. This is my job. I when I say my job, I mean I work with F-45. That's one, but no, I thought that before. Who I am, what I represent, my children. I'm the father of four.
mhm,
Anybody that has children know you can talk to your kids till you're blue in the face. That does nothing. They learn from what they see.
mhm,
And I have never made my children eat healthy. I don't. There are snacks in my house that I don't touch because they eat them,
mhm,
but they don't eat them as much as they used to.
mhm.
They're a little more aware of how to eat. Last night, me and my daughter were standing at the counter. She had basketball last night, so it was late. Everybody was in bed. Her and I were standing, just standing there eating, before we went to bed. And we got to talking about protein because she was like, "Is that important?" I was like, "Oh my God, that is so important." I said, "I guarantee you're not getting enough protein because most children aren't.
No,
And it is script. Most people aren't.
most
You
people.
know, we think only time we think about protein is we think about some guy lifting in the gym.
Yeah,
And it's like no, protein is critical for all of us. It is our body needs it.
our building blocks.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but to stand there with my 14-year-old daughter and have this conversation of not me saying you need to do this, you need to do that,
yeah,
but her saying, so that's important. I'm like, oh, it's
mhm,
so important, and this and that. And we just had a conversation about things.
yeah.
And that's how it's been with all my kids. So it's been really good to just try to lead by example. So when we're going back to your question, what keeps me those excuses pop up in my head. I mean, as well as
Of
I do.
course.
All the time I wake
All
up and think, well, do I want to keep doing this?
the time.
But it's reminding myself that it's about something bigger. It's about my children, it's about my family and my life and wanting to be here for my family
Yeah.
and just be as healthy as I can. And so when I go places, my parents. Oh, I haven't eaten at my parents' house in years because they don't eat like I do.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I will make sure that I'm not hungry when I go over there.
yeah,
I don't tell people, I don't say, oh, don't eat that.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's another thing. That's just rude. You know what I mean? I
Right.
go, I enjoy myself. I'll eat some things here and there, but I don't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah,
But I'm just aware of I don't eat those kind of things.
yeah. Well, I love that, and I think, funny enough, we talk about habit patterns and brain science a lot at Target 100, and habit formation in the brain is so interesting because you can actually thoughts are triggers and habit formation around making excuses can actually become a
Hmm.
it can
Yeah.
become a habit, and people literally will get on a coaching call, a one-to-one call, and I'll be like, "You can't hear it, right?" And they're like, "No." I was like, "You're making an excuse every time we come up with some sort of a plan.
Yeah.
You're actually literally coming up with an excuse as to why it's not gonna happen for you or why you can't do it. Do you hear it?" And they're like, "No." And it's just
Mm.
literally become the way that they behave and act and think because they've been
Yeah.
doing it for so long. So it's almost like that's why I wanted to ask you about it. It's like coming up with some sort of a way, right? We go to work. I love that you said, "I've made it my job." Because we get up and go to work even on the days that we really don't feel
We
like,
don't want to. Yeah.
and we do our job because we feel like we have to. And I love this from you as that.
And and you just talking about the habits, if people would realize, and again, it's hard, or they
Hard.
may know it, but it's hard to do. But if you start it, eventually it will become a habit that
Yeah.
happens all the time. It's something as natural as sitting down and watching TV when you get home from work. Like I'm telling you, like everyone watching this knows what I'm about to say. If you got time to watch TV, you got time to work out.
Yeah. Totally.
But oh wait a minute, my phone's trying to die. You there? Okay.
Yeah.
But it's true, and it takes time to make that change. But if people start doing it a little bit at a time, like you said, every Monday, whatever it is,
Mhm.
those things start to happen. And I promise anyone listening to this that if you start exercising in 5 years from now, you will not look back and say, dang that Noah Galloway. Like, no, you will not be upset. Trust me.
Right? Yeah. Well, briefly, before I let you go, just tell me a little bit about your book and what that process was like.
Mm.
What is the title of your book? I'm going to share it in our chat here for everyone to see.
Yeah. Well, just like my shirt, Living with No Excuses.
Yeah.
The book is, it talks about my childhood. It talks about the military, my deployment, Dancing with the Stars, all that. But the meat of the book is my struggles, my depression. I am brutally honest about my mistakes. I mentioned earlier about my kids became my motivation, but I still screwed up. Well, after I made that decision to be better, one of my screw ups put me in the county jail for 10 days. I have an entire chapter dedicated to that. And I remember when the book came out, I was terrified that these people that saw me on Dance with the Stars, this Southern gentleman, this nice guy, they all loved me. They were going to read this book and hate me. But it's been really positive. There's been a lot of people who have connected with it, whether they're veterans, whether they have a disability, or they've gone through some struggles, or they've known somebody, they've connected to it. And that's not all the book is. There's a lot of ups and downs and different things I share, but I'm real honest and open about the book. And I did it with the intention of hoping that it would change somebody's life, that people would read it and realize that no matter how dark it gets, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to keep going. Ever heard the saying, every storm runs out of rain?
Yes. I love that
Oh, that
one.
is my favorite saying. And I
Well,
think that book honestly shows that.
every storm runs out of rain. And the one that I was thinking about, I was on a run this morning thinking about you and reconnecting with you. And the thing that kept going through my head was the one, and I'm going to mess it up with, this isn't perfect, but whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Just
perfect. Yeah.
in the vein
Because
of
you decide. Well, you know
you
what? You
decide.
mentioned being on a call with somebody and them not hearing the excuses. There's a thing that I'm guilty of that is like I'll make like the other day I was talking to somebody about business, this and that. And I said, well, I'm not a businessman. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop saying that. And I actually said that to this person. I said, I'm
Right.
sorry.
Yeah.
I should never say that.
Yeah.
It's just like growing up, I decided at some point it was easier to be the class clown
Mm.
than it is to actually have an opinion.
Mhm.
And I realized that that didn't set me up for success because then when I had an opinion, no one wanted to hear it
Yeah.
because I had created this image to myself and to everyone else that this is who Noah is.
Yes.
And so when you say those things out loud, it's not just telling them, it's telling yourself.
Yes.
And we listen to ourselves.
We do more than anyone else, guys. Like just
Yeah.
science proves this. I'm not kidding, Noah. We will remember only 25% of what someone else says, and we
Mhm.
remember 75% of what we say.
Oh my God. Here's an example. Think of the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you in school. I guarantee something popped up and you
Yeah.
started sweating. But you know what? No one
No
in that
one
moment
even noticed.
knows. Because you
Yeah.
know what? Think of an embarrassing moment of someone else at school.
Can't remember it. Right?
None.
Yeah. So, no, I think this is so wonderful. I mean, you're just such a probably if someone asks me in my future what was one of my favorite fitness moments in my life, it will be working out alongside you on one side of me and Mark Wahlberg on the other side of me. I got a photo the other day. They sent me a photo from that shoot, and I was like,
Yeah.
that happened? That really happened? This
I know.
52-year-old lady did a box jump? What?
Yeah.
you
I
know?
can't wait. I can't wait to see the footage.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, okay, good.
coming out.
Do I
So
look good in my
you
interview?
always look good. Well, thank you for spending time. I know this is going to really inspire and motivate so many people, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Liz. I appreciate it.
Well, go out and get Noah Galloway's book. Follow him on all of his socials, Noah Galloway, basically all the way around. When we post this, we'll make sure that everyone has your information so they can find you and buy your
Thank you.
awesome. And don't
Excellent.
45 people. You never
Yes, of course.
no one
Hey,
may be in
first
the room.
First session's free, isn't it?
Yeah, first session's free. There's big deals are coming, so go
Yeah.
see
All
what
right.
it's all
Perfect.
about. All right,
Let's
have a
say
great one.
let's make 2024 the best.
I agree. I'm excited.
All right.
Thank you, Noah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.